Okay, so about 2 weeks ago, I uploaded this video titled Why Everyone is Leaving Escape from Tarkov, and man, did it ruffle some feathers. Some people disagreed with me, some people agreed with me, and some people even offered up some pretty great conversation in the comments. But I think the majority of you missed the entire point I was trying to make. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to quote-unquote defend myself because, frankly, I don't really care. But I thought it would be cool if we took some of the comments left on that video and sort of analyzed the different opinions around the community. Because if that video proved anything, it proved that everyone feels differently about the state of this game. But before we get into that, I want to talk about a few things first. First of which is to those of you who think I'm saying that the game is dying. The game is not dying. While there have been several events over the years that have caused players to completely quit the game, that doesn't mean that the game is dying. And me sharing my thoughts and opinions on how people have left the game over the years also doesn't mean that I'm saying the game is dying. I play this game almost every single day, and I'm sure a lot of you do too. So of course the game is still alive and well. Most of you even pointed out the fact that yes, of course players are leaving the game. We're at the end of a wipe. Come back to this topic when the game wipes. And everything I said in that video has absolutely fuck all to do with a wipe. The whole point of that video was me simply sharing the things that I've noticed about this game and its player base over the years that I've been playing. I don't think Tarkov is dying. I didn't make that video to farm views or grab a quick paycheck like some of you think. In fact, here's the analytics of how much money I made off of that video, since so many of you thought I was making a killing from it just trying to farm negativity. 132 bucks. That's how much I made on that video. I don't understand why people think you make so much money on YouTube. You really don't. You make like $3 per 1,000 views. It's really not that crazy, y'all. Now, with all that being said, I completely understand that video could have been misinterpreted by a lot of people, and I accept that. As a creator, you have to understand that you will never win over everyone, and not everyone is going to like you or your opinions, and that's okay. What I really wanted from that video was to spark conversations amongst the community, to get people talking about the state of the game and how they feel about it. Remember during the Unheard drama when Arena Breakout started to look really threatening to Tarkov? What change did the devs make to the game that a lot of people had been asking for ever since its removal? If you guessed non-found and raid flea market, you would be correct. BSG saw their player base flocking towards another game and they got scared, so they decided to revert a change that everyone had been asking for. Now, the reason why I bring this up is to show an example of how BSG responds to a wave throughout the community. I'm not saying we should go on strike and threaten to uninstall and go play other games. I'm just saying that the only way to get their attention is to talk about things. And that's what I tried to do. Another thing I want to bring up is the fact that I didn't talk about cheaters in that video, and you guys made sure I knew all about the cheater problem. I explained it several times in the comments, but I'll do it again here. The reason I didn't bring up cheaters is because it is a given at this point. We all know there's cheaters. We all know there's a problem, but it's been a problem for a long time and it has never gotten better. And unfortunately, it probably won't ever get better. So talking about cheaters is a complete waste of time. It's the biggest problem with the game, and there has never been anything done about it to make the problem better. So I'm not going to waste my breath on the topic. Hell, I even had a guy accuse me of being a cheater simply because I didn't talk about them. And that's hilarious. My Twitch VODs are all public. You guys can go watch all of my streams. Also, feel free to come into my chat whenever you'd like, and I'll show you my task manager. In fact, I'll show you anything you want to see, as long as it doesn't dox me, of course. I don't cheat, and I never have, and I never will. It's crazy to me how bad the state of the game is in that people call cheats so easily. So now that I've addressed a few things I wanted to say, let's get into some of the comments that you guys left, and I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, so I've got the video pulled up. We're just gonna go through the comments. I'm gonna scroll until I see something that, you know, I want to respond to or whatever, maybe some of the top comments, and then we'll just go from there. So the first comment right here is at the top: why everyone is leaving Tarkov. 8-year CBT netcode is terrible as it was 8 years ago. I agree with this to a certain extent. I don't think it's as bad as it was 8 years ago, but it is definitely still bad. Spawns as bad as they have been for the past 8 years. I mean, yes, but there's not really much you can do about that. They made some changes to reserve. It got a little bit better. And of course, cheaters. Yes, I agree with cheaters. But what he said here at the bottom is awesome. It sums it up pretty good. Yeah, the game is a rush unlike any other when it works. But from my experience jumping on for 3 to 4 hours a day, it will be 50-50. Half the time it'll work, half the time it won't, and you'll get Tarkov. This is perfect. I agree with this last sentence, you know, to a T. It's like sometimes you get on and things are great. Sometimes you get on and things are just complete ass. Totally agree with this guy. Next one right below it, this guy said, no one taught me how to be a rat. I knew how to be a rat from the beginning. And I'm sure he's responding to the fact that I said, you know, General Sam released a video on ratting and made it popular. I didn't say General Sam invented ratting because there's several comments throughout here of people saying that, oh, General Sam didn't invent ratting. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying he popularized it and made it more, you know, of a thing for people to do after they saw the video, because they saw it and they thought it looked fun. They thought it was funny and they wanted to try ratting. Next one is, it's because BSG makes it impossible for an average casual player with a full-time job and a family to play, plain and simple. Now, I don't want to go through all of these replies, but I have read some of them. And, you know, of course, there's some guys in there saying, hey, it sounds like a skill issue. I work 17 jobs and work 5,000 hours a month, and I still get Capra every wipe. This right here, I think it's just opinion based. You know, if you think they don't cater to the casual player, I'm sorry. To be honest with you, this really is not a casual game. So I don't know why the casual player argument gets brought up all the time. I personally don't believe that this is a casual game. You are free to disagree with me, but I just don't. It's just not a casual game. Played 4 wipes, quest loop gets stale, cheaters, and the Unheard Edition drama killed it for me. Totally agree with this guy. The quest loop is very stale. Cheaters, of course, is a given, and Unheard Edition drama killed it for me. This was one of the points of my video, was that a lot of players left during the Unheard drama, and I would assume that this guy left during that time. Which, you know, that's all I was saying, was people were leaving during the Unheard drama. People left after inertia. People left after the wait system. People have left because of rats and cheaters. People have left the game for many reasons. Here's another one like this, bro. I'm seeing this like every wipe. I personally have not seen a video like mine every single wipe. So I've gotten several comments like this where people are saying, we get these videos every single wipe. The game's not dying, blah, 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 blah. But I don't recall saying that the game was dying. Here's a big one, actually. This is a very big one. You can't say it was popular then. It was 2020, pandemic, life is back to normal. That's when people started exploring Twitch and people couldn't do much. So this is another one that I saw a lot of people were saying, oh, the only reason why so many people were playing the game was because of the pandemic. The pandemic was the reason why the game blew up in popularity. So let me address this very quickly. The game blew up in December 2019 / January 2020. This is the specific time period that I'm referencing in the video, which, by the way, I never once said that the viewer count on Twitch of the game is an accurate representation of how many people are currently playing the game. My whole point with the viewer count on Twitch was simply an example of how we went from this number of players playing, loving the game blowing up, etc., to where we were at the end of last wipe, averaging around 10K viewers. It was just an example to show a before and after. I never said it was concrete evidence of how the player count has dropped. Okay, so with that out of the way, this game blew up for the first time in late December 2019, early January 2020. The pandemic was not a global or everybody knowing about an issue until around February or March of 2020. At least where I'm from, the pandemic did not really kick in, and the mass stuff, it all didn't start happening until March of 2020. Okay, so saying that the game blew up and it was only popular then because of the pandemic is completely wrong. Yes, the pandemic was a time where people weren't working and they were probably playing the game a little bit more and watching more on Twitch, but my point was the game blew up before that. And that was the example that I used in my video with the chart, the viewership chart. So if we take a look here, sorry for the flashbang, it is very bright. The section that I use as an example is right here. So if we look at its peak number, if I can get my mouse over it, I wonder if there's a way you can zoom. 214,401 on January 3rd of 2020. This was the peak of when the game initially blew up. Look at the viewer count all the way back to 2017. The game had never blown up before. As you can see right here, we've got some peaks here and there, and I would assume that these are all gonna be wipes. So if we look, we go down this around October-ish of 2019, we got a slight spike right here. October was a wipe. This was the wipe for the game. Now, if we go over to the January 3rd, which was a peak, yes, of course, this was during the time where there was drops, of course. But my point was the game initially, for the first time, blew up and got all of its popularity going right here. This was not during the pandemic. This was before the pandemic was even a thing, okay? Now, if we scroll ahead to late February and into March a little bit, you can see how the viewer count has dropped drastically. Now, of course, you can attribute that a little bit to there not being drops in the game. This big old number over here has a lot to do with drops, and pretty much all of these peaks and spikes has to do with drops and wipes anyways. But if you look into March of 2020, look at how the viewer count is slowly going down, okay? Now, again, we can't say the viewer count is a direct correlation of people playing the game. I'm just using it as an example. So I don't want to get too long-winded on this one, but my point is a lot of people were saying that the pandemic had a lot to do with the game blowing up and getting popular. No, it blew up before the pandemic. But yes, people probably were playing a lot more during the pandemic. The Unheard Edition is the sole reason I stopped playing. If it wasn't for it, I would still be playing to this day. Boom. Another guy saying the Unheard Edition drama is the entire reason why he no longer plays the game. This guy says, if you look at the actual realistic information, there's 50,000 new players to the game, including me and a few friends. So I want to point this out simply because, to my knowledge, there is nothing that tells us actual live player counts of people playing Tarkov. We have nothing that will tell us the amount of new players, the amount of players playing at any given time. We have nothing of that sort. And if we do, somebody please tell me in the comments below. I would love to look at that information. I would actually love to be wrong about this. Somebody please prove me wrong. This guy says the timestamp at 6 seconds, where you got player numbers from. He's talking about this right here. I got mine from the same place that everybody else got theirs when they're talking about player counts. I made it up. Then we've got this guy right here, bringing cases into the raid. Super fun way to play the game, which is what I said, and he's basically mocking it. He says, what a dumb take. Now, this guy is more than welcome to feel the way that he does about it, but I guarantee you a lot of people who played during that time, which I'm guessing this guy did not, will agree that bringing cases into a raid at the end of a wipe was so much fun. In fact, let's look here. Quite literally a super fun way to play the game, coming from someone who did it often at the end of wipes to big ball my raids. I mean, this guy right here, you know, he's someone who did it. He thought it was fun. I'm someone who did it. I thought it was fun. And then when you got this guy right here, bringing a very valuable stash item into a raid and potentially lose it just to maximize loot gains sounds so incredibly ballsy and insane. It actually sounds fun. The highest risk versus reward when you have nothing to lose. So that is one of the main points that I have about why taking cases into raid was so fun. You want to talk about risk to reward in Tarkov? That was probably the highest level of risk to reward you could get. There was no item more valuable in the game than a thick case, other than like red keycard, but you wouldn't willingly put red keycard in your backpack. It serves no purpose. So bringing a thick case into a raid was such a high risk to reward scenario, and it was just a ton of fun. If you never did it, I understand why you don't get why that was fun, but to those of you who have done it, all of you know how much fun that was. Throat hitbox is my main reason I stopped, and armor plates makes the game so inconsistent and random and requires no skill anymore. I'm gonna have to agree with this guy, and I brought it up in a couple of points that I made in my video. Armor and plates just feels so weird. It's so inconsistent. The neck hitbox is such a huge problem. The way that bullets, armor, and hitboxes all work together now, the game does feel inconsistent and random, as this guy right here says. It requires no skill anymore, and I would have to agree a little bit. You can just get super lucky and neck shot somebody with one of the worst bullets in the game, and that guy could have on the best gear in the game. So I definitely agree. The way that these hitboxes and armor plates and bullets and stuff work is very inconsistent, and it is very random. We're just not going to talk about the optimization. Maps depend on your PC. This is a great point. I did not talk about optimization. That is probably something that I should have talked about. I have a $2,000 computer. I have a 12-core processor and a 12-gig graphics card, 32 gigs of RAM. I feel like I have a pretty good PC, not the highest of the highest stuff, but I get like 35 FPS on streets when I aim down sights, even with a red dot. It doesn't matter if it's red dot or an LPVO. If I aim down sights on streets, I get anywhere from 25 to 35 FPS. The optimization is awful. Definitely something that I should have talked about in the video. I agree with this guy right here. This guy says, I hopped in after a long break because of cheaters. My first PMC raid, I was killed by a fly hacker. Yeah, I'm done, and I haven't moved to another game. So this is something that I want to bring up. A lot of people are talking about cheating. Yes, there's a cheating problem for sure, but I'm not saying this guy's lying, but I think a lot of people over-exaggerate the cheating problem, okay? And I'm only going based off of my own personal experience. I very, very rarely run into cheaters. But also at the same time, I understand that if you live in the UK or if you're playing on Europe servers, the cheating problem is a lot worse because you have all of the, Chinese people that are, stereotypically more into cheating. You have them in your servers. So I get it, okay? And I'm not saying anybody's wrong or lying per se, but I do think a lot of you, when you die, immediately call cheats. Instead of looking at a situation logically, I think a lot of you call cheats and just end it there. And you think everybody's cheating, and you blow the cheating problem way out of proportion, way more out of proportion than it actually is. Now, I'm not trying to say there isn't a cheating problem, and I understand this opinion that I have now and have had for a long time is very controversial, okay? Because people think I'm defending cheaters, people think I'm calling them liars. It is what it is. I just think people call cheats way more than it actually happens to them, and that's it. And then finally, one more. This guy says, spot on the money, covered everything. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. I know not everybody agrees with me. That's okay. If you do agree with me, that's awesome. But if you don't, it's okay. That's the beautiful thing about this. We don't have to agree on every single thing. Some of you think the game is going downhill because of this reason, and some of you think it's going downhill because of that reason. Some of you think the game is, going uphill. Everybody thinks something different, and that's kind of what I wanted to prove with these comments here. Was there is no correct answer on the state of Tarkov. The only thing that everybody can really agree on is that cheating is a problem. The rest of it is all opinionated. The rest of it is all everyone's own personal opinion. If you like inertia, great. If you don't like inertia, great. All of it is opinions. So I hope I've cleared up a few things about that video, and I hope some of the comments left by you guys really spark some conversations in the community. I love this game, and I will continue to play it until the servers are shut down. I'm just a guy sharing his opinion in a YouTube video, just like you guys are some guy or girl sharing your opinion in the comments. We are all welcome to our own opinions, and I welcome your opinion down in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.